Okay, so now we're doing the tutorial, and it wants me to stand next to a tree and press space to pick it up. So spacebar is your main action button. It levitates objects, and then if you hit spacebar again, it throws the object away from your character. So if I pick it up the tree from below, it'll throw it up, and if I pick up the tree from above, it'll throw it down. So let's continue downwards. This one says you can also carry stuff around, so I can pick something up, and instead of just throwing it, I can walk with it. And notice that's costing me energy. So you see that negative red 1 over my head, and then this energy meter up in the upper left corner here shows how much energy I have. So that just cost me 2. And it's important to note it doesn't cost energy to throw objects, just to carry them. So one of the main tricks of the game is learning how to conserve energy by throwing things instead of carrying them. So let's keep moving on. So on this screen, the path is blocked. There's these rocks here, and it says 2 trees on the blockage. So that's telling me to unblock it, I need to match 2 trees. So I could carry this tree over, but instead I'm going to throw it to save energy. And when 2 trees are touching, that means they're matched. That's basically all it means. So you can see a red 2 here indicating that there's 2 trees matched there. And that satisfies the doorway, and now it's open. So this is a blizzard screen. In blizzards, whenever you move at all, it costs energy. So not even just carrying something. If I take a step, it costs energy. So you need to be really careful in these rooms because it'll quickly drain a lot of energy. There's also some apples here, which actually add energy back. So food generally is how you get energy back. And that's basically what this screen is teaching you, is about more details about energy management. Okay, so here's the child I've been trying to rescue. There's some other objects in this room that I can play around with, but the main thing I want to do is match these trees so I can go through this door and rescue the child. So I just did that, and then I'm going to kind of throw the child up there and then carry her through to the mother. So I rescued the child and finished the tutorial. Now it's going to put me into the town. And so you can walk around the town, you can bump into objects and it'll kind of give you a little text blurb describing them. You can bump into these NPCs and have these little conversations with them. Okay, she didn't seem very friendly. And eventually you can form relationships with them. That's what that kind of heart meter is over their head. And if you give them resources, they will give you things in return, and you can slowly grow your relationship with NPCs. So I'm not going to take the time to talk to each one, but you can see there's a selection of them, and they each have different personalities. This one in particular is the mayor. He's kind of like a special NPC. You don't really have a relationship with him. He's kind of just your boss, telling you what to do. He's kind of a jerk. Okay, so now let's go out into the forest for the first mission. This is kind of a training mission, so not really the tutorial, but it kind of emphasizes some key things to learn. Yeah, for example, the mayor's now pointing out that I can use my staff to teleport back to him. So if I hit the X key, and this is on the Steam version, so on the PlayStation it would be a different key. I can select teleport to mayor, and it warps me back to him, which isn't really that useful when you're in the same room as the mayor. But as he points out, it can be really useful when you're like stuck. So if I'm in a separate room and for whatever reason I'm stuck in this room or I'm low on energy, I can hit X, teleport to the mayor, and kind of always return to safety. So that's a really good trick to know. Alright, so let's look around. There's a signpost here that if I bump it, it'll tell me some stuff. Yeah, it even tells me that bumping into things is a good way to learn secrets. It also tells me I can rescue kids by reuniting them with their parents, like I did in the tutorial, or by bringing them back to the mayor. So if I just bring a child back to this screen, it rescues them. So let's go ahead and unlock this door. Oh, I just found a berry. So I'm matching these 2 pine trees like the thing required, and so I can walk through this door. And so here's a child. I'm going to rescue it by returning it to the parent. Here's another child and parent combo. I'm actually going to move the parent to the child this one, to just show you can do it either way. Sometimes it might just make more sense to move the parent instead of the child. So now this door requires 3 pine trees, and this one requires 3 of this other kind of tree. So I'm going to basically just organize this room by trees. So see, that just unlocked that door. This one unlocked this door. And notice again, I'm doing my best not to carry objects, because that costs energy. I'm trying to throw them whenever possible to save energy. Okay, here's another room with another sign. So this is kind of saying the same stuff as that other sign. Okay, so I'm going to throw these trees like this. There's a big rock here too, which you can't throw very far, so it kind of stops after a couple squares. Alright, let's keep exploring. Okay, more children, more parents. Rescue. This early level is pretty simple, just to get you, so you can get the hang of the mechanics. Normally it'd be a lot more work to rescue the kids. Okay, so now there's also a jar of honey over here in the corner. So this is food, just like the apple. I can pick it up by eating it, and it gives me 10 energy. So that's great. Now I'm going to move this tree over there to the left to unlock that door. Keep exploring. Okay, so now the mother is teaching me something. She says, I found the book near the hives. Perhaps it'll have a secret to get us out of this sticky mess. So it's pointing out a new feature, which is the Book of Secrets. If I hit the Z key, it opens up the Book of Secrets. And it's basically, so this entry is telling me about the jar of honey and a crafting recipe. The Book of Secrets in general is like a list of all the objects you've encountered, and you can go into them and you can read like crafting recipes and descriptions, and you can see up in the upper right corner I've discovered 8 out of 200 secrets. So there's quite a lot of things to discover, and you can see there's like pages and pages of objects. But in particular right now it's trying to draw my attention to the jar of honey entry, and you can see there's a crafting recipe there that says a jar equals 3 beehives. So I'm gonna go try that. So there's a bunch of beehives in here for me to play around with. And the way crafting works is really just like matching objects to unlock doors. You just kind of put objects near each other. So if I throw this beehive down, it'll combine with those 2 down there. So watch. Okay, so I just crafted a jar of honey out of 3 beehives, which is great. And you notice I didn't even have to do them all in a row. Like that was kind of like an L shape with 3 beehives like that. So anywhere you can do that, you can get you can craft a jar of honey. So right there, I threw one of the beehives to craft it, and a bee popped out, which happens kind of randomly, like a random drop. And the bee is an example of like a creature who kind of causes you trouble. So he's following me around, and if I get close, he's going to sting me like that. It's not a whole lot of damage, but it's a little troublesome, and he gets in my way. I'll show you a trick to deal with the bees, actually. So he's kind of angry, but if you get close, just like most objects in the game, you can pick them up and throw them. And when I do that, he actually changes. So before he was like a normal bee, like an angry bee. If I corner him, you can see I can bump him and read his description. And now he's a scared bee. Okay, so he's no longer angry, he's scared, and he'll actually run from me and stay out of my trouble. So I'm going to eat that jar of honey and then rescue this final child. So there you go. That's a quick playthrough of the tutorial and the first training mission. I think I'm going to jump ahead briefly after this and show you maybe year 3 and show you a couple more advanced objects. So now, at the end of each mission, you go to the mayor and you get some resources which you can use to trade with NPCs and do other things like that. So I've jumped ahead to year 3. So this will be slightly more advanced than the training mission, and hopefully we'll get a look at some new objects. Here's one of the deer, like we saw in the tutorial. So let's go exploring and see what we have. Okay, so here's some beehives that we learned how to use previously. So I'm going to quickly craft one of these into a jar of honey, and there's not enough over here to make another one, but I'm going to keep note of them. You try and catch this bunny. No, he's too quick for me. Okay, let's go the other way. Okay, here's another room. This one is just full of stuff. You can see there's 2 children, 2 parents, a blue flame thing, which is an ancient mortar. We have a bunch of flame spirits and light spirits. That's what these red and white ghosts are. And if I walk into one of those, I don't bump them, I actually destroy them and cost me some energy, so you have to be careful not to wander into spirits. But I can also look at the recipe now, or their entry in the Book of Secrets, and you can see there's actually pages and pages of recipes, including the light spirits. And the flame spirits are the same way, so they're actually kind of crucial to lots of the crafting recipes in the game. So I'm going to show you a couple things you can craft with them in here. So I just rescued one of the kids, mostly to get them out of my way. There's a couple logs right here, pieces of wood. You can craft these from trees if you have an axe, which you can also craft. But if you have 2 of them, I'm just going to show you real quick, you can make a campfire. Campfires are great because they light up the room, and as you can see, everything's all nice and yellow. And what that means is, in a sunny room like this, it doesn't cost energy to carry objects around. So I'm carrying this ghost around, and normally it would cost me 1 energy per step, but it doesn't cost me anything in here, which is great for when you want to do a bunch of crafting, actually, because it lets you move things around a lot without costing yourself a lot of energy. So let's see, what can I craft in here? I've got a lot of spirits at my disposal, so I can make some kind of cool stuff. Let's see. Oh, that wolf attacked me because he's kind of cornered. So the wolves are actually kind of scaredy cats, and if you back them into a corner and walk next to them, they'll attack you out of fear, but they won't like actively attack you for no reason. So I guess it's sort of my fault he attacked me. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead a bit and just show you, rearrange some stuff like this. Okay, I'm going to try and combine these 5 flame spirits. Cool, so that just gave me a duplication potion. So that's kind of a more advanced crafting recipe, but I thought I'd show you something fun. Potions are neat because you can throw them at other objects and it basically imbues them with some sort of special behavior. The duplicate potion specifically makes copies of the object. So, for example, if for some reason I wanted a bunch of campfires, I could throw this over here at the campfire, and now the campfire kind of hops around and leaves copies of itself. And the last copy will turn into a white spirit. But now I have 3 campfires, which is kind of useless. But I just wanted to show off one of the cool potions. And I could possibly throw this to an adjoining room and use my extra campfires to light other rooms. But that's just an example of some advanced crafting. Okay, so I think that's it for now. I would now go on and try and rescue the rest of the kids, but I think I'm going to cut this short.